Hey guys, Joe here with another late night session video. Even though it's not late night, these videos usually are made at or released at night. Um Sometimes I make them at night. Actually this is I want to say this is the only one that's clearly in the morning, that I've recorded clearly in the morning. But they're usually released late at night. Um, and it's just because I'm kind of a night owl anyway. So, for people out there like me who stay up late and just need some content to watch late at night, yeah, this is kind of that. Also, there is kind of a different quality to the video. I don't know if you guys recognize it or not. But um, but I'm experimenting with some different things. Of course, you can see the lights are off now. My main, room light, that's kind of off now. And I kind of have two other lights that, the lights that's kind of, coming from my laptop, and then I got this new light. I actually got this new light from one of my siblings. So and then I had to do all sorts of crazy things, kind of like find some like makeshift, lights essentially, cuz I don't know nothing about no camera lighting and stuff like that. I could have searched it on YouTube or whatever, but what I'm what I'm thinking about now is, there's a kind of a YouTuber that I've been watching, actually a couple that I watch here and there. One of those is mediocre tutorials and reviews, and the other one is Better Bachelor. And they kind of talk about the same thing, which is the idea of marriage, not being great. Um so why do I bring that up? It's because where the way I was raised and what I believe in, and based off of some of the things that they're saying, is kind of hard to discuss, right? They give stories all the time, and if I was in their position, I'd be like, yo, it's hard to defend marriage in this day and age. I mean, I want to be married, but I also see where they're coming from. I don't deny that. But I think the problem is more serious than that. More serious than what they're. Well, first of all, I want to get to this. They're the ones that, post these videos that talk about all the laws and different, in different states and in different countries. They just at the time of this recording, I think one of the latest videos that they just released within like the last week or so, has been that story about how there was this man in Canada, who, had to pay spousal support or something like that, even though him and this lady weren't married, never had any children together, like with each other, and she was just kind of like living with him like intermittently. And I'm like, yo, that's horrible. And I'm like, what judge would rule in the woman's favor for that. It's like, what? It's like, no, absolutely not. It's like you better be glad that wasn't like the United States or something like that, cause I'd be like, yo, we gotta, I wanna mistrial or something. I want a retrial or something like that. I want to take this up to the, I want an appeal process or something. I don't know. Get me a lawyer or something. Like, that's not right. And which brings me to their channels, the discussion of their channels, which is the idea that, marriage like, there's legally speaking, there is no benefit to, there's no net benefit to being married if you're a guy. There's no net benefit, legally speaking, to be married if you're a guy. There's just not. So why would I say that? Why would I say that and still be married? Still want to get married? Well, first of all, let's go back to, what I mean when I say there's no net benefit, legally speaking, to being married. Because as they've pointed out, listen, if you do get divorced, you're taken to the cleaners. I mean, if you got to give $4,000 a month to give a child some Fruit Loops, in the words of Bill Burr. You got to do all this stuff, you got to pay all this stuff, and whether it's infidelity or if it's, and then, the children get brought into it, and that's a complicated issue, to where it's like, for some reason, the children automatically go with the mother with like no question. And in some cases, I've seen a case, and I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but there is a case where this judge, like, pretty much ruled on this man, like, giving, like, I don't know, so much spousal support and child support that it's like, yo, he couldn't afford it. He couldn't even. He's like, how am I supposed to pay that? I only make this much. How am I supposed to pay that and live? It's either that or like go to jail. It's like, yo, that's a trip. Which I said brings me to their channels. Like, I'm with them on, like, legally there's no net benefit to getting married. Like, okay, because I watch mediocre tutorials and reviews videos, and when the women get on there, they wanna say all this stuff about partnership and love and all this other stuff, which that's not legal. That's not legal stuff. That's, I mean, you can get that through other avenues, right? Like, if you want a partnership, then, just start a business or go on a rec team or something, or find a friend, or, just be friends with your siblings and stuff like that. That's a partnership, to where it's like an emotional partnership, to where it's like, okay, they'll kind of help you out and help you process the mental stresses of the day, assuming that, your relationship is good with your family, oh, and then love, I mean, like, if you're talking about a romantic love, I'm like, yeah, but that's, I'll get into that topic later. So, this is my thing, right? There's no net benefit, legally speaking, to get married, right? But um, you know, the same thing that it's it's weird. The same thing that I feel like, in my opinion, that the same thing that makes men go their own way, and raise up their wealth being better men, or value of being better men, and all this stuff, and trying to just date women and low, at a lower age. It's those actions it's that specific thing that's causing other men to say, hey, all you do is just sleep around and all this other stuff, and then nobody wants them. So it's like you know what I mean? Like, say you have woman A and man A, right? And man A is kind of going their own way. All they do is date, other other women, and so one of those women happened to be woman A in this particular situation. So woman A, she's kind of on the younger side. All she wants to do is kind of have her fun, things of that nature. And then and that goes on for a while. Eventually it gets to the point to where she's like, you know what, I want to settle down. Well, the problem is that woman A had probably had their fun with a lot of men who think like man A, which is men going their own way. It's like, there's I don't need marriage, and marriage is horrible and all that other stuff, and then it messes up for the dude who actually wants to get married, which cyclically causes them to go their own way. It's kind of like in a subtle way, in a kind of roundabout way, the men going their own way, people kind of end up making those women who they are, kind of just by saying, of course they have the option to date. No still means no. They could have said no any other time, but they accept it. So I'm not even putting 50% of the blame on men. I'm not doing that. I would say is if I was gonna give them a max, it would be 15%. I mean, still that 80% though, that 85%, and I feel like that's being generous. That's being kind. That 85%, that's being kind to the woman, saying, listen, this is all the opportunity that they have, right? So with that particular male, so it messes up for, let's say, man B, who has this idea of marriage, and it makes it hard for that man B to pick out a value quality woman, because man B wants somebody in his mind who thinks like himself. Let's call them woman B. But there's a lot less woman B out there, and man A turns a lot of women B's into woman A's. I know it gets complicated, but that's how I'm describing it. That's one side of the cycle. Another side of it is that society, right? And here's where I actually kind of balance out the scales, right? If our society, if like American society, or at least Western, most of society, I'll say most of society, doesn't matter where in the world you are, behaved in a way that was more traditional, I believe you would find, men and women alike, you would find those high quality value men and those high quality value women. I straight up believe you would. That means to me, and that means to me, like, no sex outside of marriage, no, pretty much, so no sex before marriage, and, both on the women and the men, no, none of this idea of, kind of explicit, kind of imagery, being put out to the masses, whether it's through social media or the form of a site or whatever. And, or, even just showing like something on TV for like a split second, like, you know what I mean? That's made to be more suggestive. It's what it is. And it doesn't help the matter. It's like I don't know how you can honestly say, listen, it's kind of hard to mentally separate the idea of, at least for me, I don't know about anybody else, it's kind of hard for me to mentally separate the concept of we should have respect for the women who actively decides to wear some clothing that is more revealing or tighter fitting than the norm, and outside the range of outside the range of modesty. It's kind of hard to deal with it. Like, okay, sometimes when you look good, you just look good, right? But there's like an acceptable limit of like, yo, this is tight fitting. This is too revealing. And if you can kind of gauge that with a level of accuracy that 75% of the people would say, hey, this is made to be kind of provocative, then my suggestion is to not wear those things. Having the tight fit, stuff like that. And it's hard because then what's it gonna do? All it makes guys do is just, kind of, go to that place in their minds. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, it happens to me all the time. Like, it's like, well, what do you expect when all you're doing is like wearing Daisy Dukes, or you're wearing tight fit clothing and stuff like. That's why I say yoga pants is like yoga. Like, I don't know who made yoga pants. Like, the idea of them I don't know who made that as an idea to be like normal wear, but they almost should they almost should go to jail for it. Like visually speaking, like as heterosexual dudes, like it activates like something in our heads most of the time. Most of the time. I mean, of course, you got your people who try to do right, but there's people who know that they try to get out of the way of thinking that way, so they go the extra mile to actively avoid that, which is why they suggest to maybe someone like their daughters or their sisters to like, listen, you younger sisters or something like that, to where it's like, yo, you don't need to wear all of that, or wear it like that, like keep it in the, if you're gonna wear something that's yoga pants specific, kind of cover up, or wear only to a yoga class. How about that? Some of the, which is strange because some of the people who wear yoga pants don't look like they do yoga at all, but that's a whole nother side note. So I find it funny. When that's all people do is and then the whole issue of, oh well, that's no reason to tell what a woman should do and should not do. It's like, no, bump all that. I'm not trying to tell you what you should do, what you should not do. I'm just kindly suggesting, listen, this is the idea. You know the way the world works, right? You know that dudes can think like this. You know that dudes can think like this, right? Like X, right? Like triple X, right? And that clothing doesn't necessarily help the situation, depending upon what it is, But you would still go ahead and wear that clothing. And I'm not saying that, this is the perfect formula to where you're gonna avoid all the problems that's associated with the clothing, because some stuff is still gonna happen, but if you have a chance of decreasing that possibility that something bad could happen because of the clothing, you're not going to take that? You're not going to actively do that? Like, you just don't care? Like, all right, fine then. That's your choice. All I'm saying is like, you made a choice and now here are the consequences. This is the way the world works. For right or for wrong, it still happens, right? So it's like studying for a test, right? You can do all which, you can study for a test and technically you could still fail, or you could still not get 100%, or you could still not get, but it doesn't mean that you should stop trying to do the best that you can to avoid the worst possible outcome. And that's what I'm saying. You want to talk about how people are like, oh, they're putting restrictions on what we can and cannot wear, and it's like, fine then, don't do that, but then deal with the social consequences. Yeah, some dude might touch you inappropriately or do something inappropriately to you. But I mean, would that happen? Do you think that the possibility that happened would have decreased had you been wearing something more modest? That's what I'm trying to get at. And if you can honestly, like, in your heart of hearts, if you can honestly say yes, it's like, why wouldn't you take that option? Why wouldn't you do that? for right or wrong. You know, you can say, oh, okay, well, why are they telling us what to wear? It's like, okay, fine then don't. But then deal with all the people who's gonna do all the wrong stuff. Fine. Yeah, yeah. You can say, oh, that's another thing. Men need to control themselves. It's like, they're trying their best, but are you actually trying to help? Like, you're not trying to help, knowing the way that they think. Like, if you can in one sense of your argument say, oh, men think like this all the time, and then it's like, then there's people actively trying not to think that way, and trying to, some people have less willpower than others, and sometimes it does take practice, and sometimes I'm not denying that, but you're just not going to help out the situation socially altogether. I don't agree with that. I mean, because what are you saying there? It says, to me, it says that you don't care. You want to do what you want to do with like no consequences, and you're not worried about the mental state of the other party, and you're not trying to help them out. Like I said, it doesn't erase all the thing, but I'd be hard pressed to believe that it doesn't significantly decrease that. And shouldn't that at least be what you're aiming for? So, but like I said, it's a whole thing. So that's kind of all I had for you guys. Thank you for listening to me. This was a kind of a late night session, if you will. Excuse me. This is kind of a late night session, if you will. Thank you guys so much for listening. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, so you can join in what we're talking about, and so you can stay up to date on the channel, really, just in general. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Please subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys later.